If you feel like you don't get enough work done, if you feel this way the majority of the time, then something has to change. You know it does. You can't achieve the things you want to and think of yourself as being lazy. It's just not going to work. So, I have a really effective solution that I've used myself, and it really has changed my life, to be honest. It's going to allow you to work less, actually, achieve more, and most importantly of all, allow yourself to feel good about yourself. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's not. I stumbled upon this idea years ago, and recently I've come across a whole movement that's based around this principle. The principle is less but better. For years, this was my life. I would work on some project. Eventually, I would get tired. I wouldn't have the endurance to keep going and I would stop. And at the end of the day, even though I did work on it, I made some progress, I would feel like I was lazy, like I was a failure because I wasn't able to keep pushing myself to work the amount that I thought I should work. Well, after years of this, after a lot of pain, a lot of psychological pain, I came to the realization that this wasn't sustainable. Actually, how I thought about my work was wrong. The important thing is not how much you work. The important thing is how much you do well. If the things you're doing lead you to the goal you want to achieve. What you got to realize is that you've pretty much been brainwashed into thinking you should work in a certain way. There are all these stories of geniuses like Pablo Picasso, who worked 16 hours a day painting. Or for me, it was Stanley Kubrick, who was obsessively making movies and devoted his whole life to making movies. Or for non creative people, it's the idea of the hard worker who puts in extra hours after his 8 hour work shift to get ahead. Most of the people who say they're working all the time, they're actually not really focusing on the important things that need to get them ahead. Good example of this is one of my friends was always telling me that, he knew a lot of millionaires that to get to that point, they just had to like devote their whole lives to making money. They had to just sleep and work, and basically that's it. So he was telling me that's what he was doing. He would work his regular job and then come home and he would be working on real estate stuff all throughout the night and then sleep. And that was his whole life. Well, come to find out that what he was actually doing at night was not really working on anything important. What he was doing was organizing his files, Xeroxing a lot of stuff. It was just kind of nonsense, busy work. But he convinced himself and he convinced me that he was this super efficient worker who was like on the fast track to success. When in reality, he was just kind of spinning his own wheels. So this is what you need to do. You need to find that one goal that you can focus on that's going to move your life forward the most. Think about what do you like actually need to accomplish right now and what will make you like feel good if you actually do accomplish it. Recently I came across a book by Greg McKeown called Essentialism, which is basically this idea. It's one of those books you can kind of summarize in a line, and it's that you need to focus on the essentials, get rid of everything else. This is with your goals, but also the steps you take to achieve your goals. The book Essentialism has a lot of different proofs of this concept. And one of the most interesting ones comes from a German designer, one of the most famous designers actually in the world. And his name is Dieter Rams. He was the guy who designed a lot of the Brown products in the 1970s. His main design principle was less but better. Weniger aber besser in German. He followed this principle to make products like this. Very simple, but effective. They looked good and they sold really well. This principle can not only be applied to products, but it can be applied to your work life as well. So for a personal example, right now I'm focusing on making content and building a following. Like that's the one thing that is most important to my journey forward. I'm also identifying what are the actions that will help me get there? What are the essential things I can do? Or thing that I realized recently is that fancy editing, music, all of that stuff, it's nice in videos, in like these types of YouTube videos, but actually focusing on helping people like you to achieve different things in their life, to have a different mindset, that is going to get me further than focusing on anything else, all the superficial things. So this follows the idea of a power law. It's the things in your life that when you input a certain amount of work, you get an exponential amount of output. It's similar to Pareto's principle. So you want to identify those things. So for me, like editing and putting a bunch of time into editing takes a lot of time, but it doesn't really affect like how long people watch the videos or if they'll even watch it in the first place. What does make a huge difference is the content that I'm giving you. So that's just an example from my life. So this is exactly what you need to do. You need to find out one goal, like we talked about, that is going to get you where you want to get. And then to reach that goal, break down what you need to accomplish month by month, week by week, and day by day. So if you have what you need to accomplish in that one day, then you need to focus on accomplishing that one goal for the day and then forgetting about it, enjoying the rest of your day, feeling good about yourself that you have moved forward. Get away from the idea that you need to keep working and doing more and more. You've set your target and it's about consistency. It's about running the marathon, not running the sprint. A good example of someone who used this process is Graham Greene, an older author. He wrote 500 words a day and he was very strict about it. He would sometimes end mid-sentence at 500 words, and 500 words is not that much. It's like 3 pages, 14 font, But he did this 5 days a week. He didn't even work on the weekends, but every day. Doing this, he was able to write a book a year. He was one of the biggest authors, I think in the 1950s to later to 70s. You really need to wrap your head around the fact that you can achieve your goal most likely if you just stick to this very simple, easy plan. A lot of times it doesn't even take that much work to reach the most essential goal that you're going for. And you know what? You still might struggle if you had your task to do that day to move you forward and you don't do that task. Feel free to feel bad about yourself. You are being lazy, but I think that most times, if you're very clear with the goals that you have, it's way easier for you to accomplish it. The tragic figure of Sisyphus, it's that Greek myth of that guy who's rolling the boulder up the hill and then it fell down the other side. He had to roll it back up again for eternity. The reason why it was so tragic is because there was no set goal in sight. When you do have like a goal for that day, it's so much easier to accomplish it. Thanks for listening, and I hope this helped you. I hope you implement this, and I'm serious. This could totally change your life. See you guys next time.